Hello everyone, hiya pawb. We'll just wait a few minutes until everybody joins us, then we'll make a start. Still a few more joining, so we'll just start in a few minutes if that's okay.
Hello.
Hello, William.
Hi. We're not William. William's our son.
Oh, I see.
He had an interview. He must have had an interview. It's a university one.
No problem. Right then, I'll start with the introduction and then a few more will be joining and then I'll hand over to Claire so that we make a start. So hello pawb, hello everyone. I'm Elin Jones, Menter Moch Cymru Development Officer here in North Wales. Croeso cynnes i chi gyd I webinar Menter Moch Cymru heno ar dosbarth Meistr Marchnata a sut I ddefnyddio'r grant Marchnata o 750 sydd ganddo ar gael. A warm welcome to you all to Menter Moch Cymru webinar on Marketing Masterclass tonight, how to utilise the £750 that we have available. Thank you very much for joining us. Diolch yn fawr iawn am ymuno gyda ni heddiw. We're also delighted to have Claire Hester with us for this webinar. Claire is a Senior Business Consultant at Landscape Business Solutions. Therefore, thank you very much, Claire, for your time and for hosting the webinar for us tonight. As this session is more of a meeting based tonight rather than a webinar, you will be able to have a discussion and share some ideas at the end of the presentation. Therefore, feel free to put your camera and your mics off so that we can have a chat at the end. You're also welcome to post them in the chat if something pops up while Claire's going through her presentation, and then we'll come to these at the end. If you could just keep your mics off while Claire is presenting for no disturbance throughout the webinar, that would be great. Therefore, I think without further ado, I'll hand over to Claire now. So Claire can share her screen.
Thank you very much. Okay, so everybody welcome. So I'm just going to shortly share my slides with you. The first thing to say is that they are quite wordy, and that's so that you can use them as a guide afterwards. So, I won't be talking through every single word, but hopefully when we share the slides with you, you can use them as a template. The other thing to say is that I'm looking at you here, if you can see me, but my slides are over here. So when I share my screen, I won't be looking at you. That's nothing personal, just have a much larger screen over here. And then I'll move back towards the end of the session. Okay, so sharing my screen now. And can you see that?
Yeah, that's great, Claire.
Lovely. Okay, let's go. Okay, so very quickly, I'm just going to run through a quick introduction to Landscape, the company that I work for. I'm going to rush over that. I'm really not going to spend any time on it. Then I want to talk to you about what a brand is. It's important that when you're thinking about spending the grant, that you have a real concept, a real idea of kind of the full extent of what a brand is. It's not just the logo. I'd like to talk to you about brand values and brand behaviours and how they need to sort of fit with your company. About your vision and your mission, because all of the marketing and everything that you do needs to explain your mission and how you get towards your vision. Target customers are incredibly important when it comes to your brand, so we'll be talking about them, potentially the most important thing. Tone of voice, how you should talk to your customers. Developing a brand story, explaining who you are is actually very important when it comes to the brand. So building that backstory and believing in it and living by it is really important. And then finally, just developing your brands, and I just sort of got a checklist of things for you. And then the most exciting bit is that there is a £750 brand grant that you can spend for your business. And having gone through the previous steps that we've talked about, hopefully that will set you up really nicely to be able to spend the grant. And I've just got some ideas which may be helpful for you with regards to how to spend it. And then at the end, a question and answer session. Okay. So very quickly, just talking about Landsca. So we are a business consultancy. I believe we're the leading business consultancy in Wales. We've assisted way more now than 2,300 businesses, accessed over £120 million in grant funding, launched over 700 businesses, and have contributed to job creation of more than 4,000 jobs in Wales. The jobs creation is important because it helps with grant funding. We are accredited on lots of programs, and what this means for you guys is that quite often we can help with subsidised support. So if you do come to Landsca directly, often we can put you onto a program or lead you towards a program that will be able to part subsidise what you're coming to us for. I think more important with Landsca, with all of the team, is that our mission statement is helping our clients make the best business decisions, and I really hope that this presentation will help you do that. But I've got our values here as well, and this is important because as we come later on, this explains some of Landsca's brand, and as we come later on, we're going to be talking about your values. But from our perspective, we're very client focused. Hopefully we have integrity, hopefully very professional, and hopefully approachable. We work collaboratively with our clients, we're ambitious, and we're knowledgeable, hopefully. Okay, that's enough about us. So moving swiftly on, I want to talk to you about a brand. Now, a brand is not just a physical logo, and quite often when you talk to people about brands, they sort of think, oh, it's, you know, it's the Apple logo, or it's the Amazon smile, or it's that. But branding from a marketing perspective is much more than that. It's essentially the emotional experience that anybody has with your business. And hence it can be strengthened, your brand can be strengthened, and it can be weakened by the experience that a person has with your business. It's essentially what other people think and feel and say about your business. And so to make what they think and say about your business positive and strong, they need to have positive and consistent experiences with you. If people have positive and consistent emotional experiences with you, they will begin to rely on you as a brand, and most importantly, they will begin to trust you. And once they trust that they'll have a good experience with you as a brand, they will return to you. So that is what is really important. We are not just talking about logos when we're talking about branding, we're talking about so much more. And you can have the most beautiful logo, but if your brand experience is bad, you're not going to grow your customers through your branding. Okay, so your brand, your customers' feelings and their level of trust with you will be based on the perceptions and judgments of some really basic attributes. Firstly, what do you stand for? What is important for you? What is your vision? i.e., where do you want to get to? What is your mission? That's essentially what do you do? And what is your story? It's also very important to think about your voice and how you talk to people, what type of tone you use with them. That's not just when you're having a face-to-face discussion with them, but that's also in social media and other areas like that. Ideally, you want your brand to have a personality, but you want to have a personality that really matches with your target audience and doesn't necessarily only match with you. You need to have a think about, sorry, you don't. Your customers' feelings are also clearly based around your brands and your products, your brand products and services as well. And the quality of your customer service, and that is key, because if they may love your product, but if they have a bad customer experience with you, then their judgment of you will be clouded by that bad customer experience. And then finally, all of that does come along with your logo, your colours and your fonts. But as you can see, your logo and your colours and your fonts is only a tiny little bit of your brand. Okay, so I'm going to run you through each of those things and just really ask you to sort of think about them. This presentation, as I said, will hopefully give you guidelines so you can work to create these things if you don't already have them, but work to create these things for your business before you spend your grant. So the first thing is brand values. Your brand values should provide a framework for your marketing. Everything that you do should essentially echo your brand values. You're essentially the essence of your brand identity. They have to be authentic, mustn't be compromised. Brand values are things that are important to the business. So it's going to be things like probably, this is broad assumptions, but likely to be things like sustainability, quality of product, quality of service, animal welfare is probably important. There are brand values there on being Welsh, because that gives values of not only artisan products, but also kind of being open air, being natural, being potentially local. All of these are brand values. But what they do is when you have them and you set them in stone and you know exactly what you are, when you do your marketing, you can be thinking, okay, does this show my brand values? Does my packaging say it's sustainable? Does it say it's high quality? Does it talk about animal welfare? Does it say Welsh? And this can be in the imagery that you use, it can be in the actual words that you use, but it also gives you a framework. So if you're tempted, say for in social, to post about something and it's not sustainable, then your brand values should tell you that goes against my brand and I won't be doing it. Because what you want is an authentic set of brand values that you believe in and that you live by, but your customers begin to understand and recognize you for. And if they also believe in those brand values, then they will return to you for those brand values. The other thing about brand values is that they create a point of difference. They help connect sort of, as I said, a deeper customer connection, but they also differentiate you from the other person that's doing a similar thing around the corner. So having a think about that as well, and sort of identifying what's specific to you that is not exactly the same as someone that's doing something 5 miles up the road is very important. And also, as I said before, your target customers must be a consideration in your values, because if your values are really important to you, but the people that are likely to buy your product don't care about those values, then it's not, your branding is not going to help sell the product. Okay, so these brand values must shine through the business, including within the behaviours of the staff. When you think about your customer service and you have a set of brand values, think about how you can exude those values through your customer service. It may be in interactions, if it's a very high quality product, how are you going to exude that high quality nature when you're talking to your customers? If it's a local thing, how are you going to do that? But your staff need to be very, very clear about what your brand values are and need to be able to live them and breathe them. And there may be sort of a conversation that you have with them around brainstorming about how you can let those values shine through. But exactly, if one of your values is high quality, it has to be echoed through the business. If you have a high quality product and everything that you're saying is high quality, and then one of your customers has a bad experience with your brand, you stop being high quality. And then you have a problem with your brand, and a brand problem can be as bad as a product problem. So being very aware and making sure that you can maintain your values is very important as well. Okay. So we're talking about brand values, and there's no kind of real example there for me to sort of to be able to kind of bring this to life for you. So what I've done is just found 4 sausage products with the idea of kind of trying to explain to you how they are showing their brand values through their packaging. So here we've got Heck. Heck they are gluten-free and dairy-free, which is what is shown at the top. Now, clearly that says less additives, it's great for gluten-free and dairy-free, but also to the person that's not looking for either of those things, it also says that there's less additives within it. The ingredients are probably better for me. But then also for somebody that isn't looking for gluten-free or dairy-free, may feel that that means that there's going to be a reduction in flavour. So then the next thing they've put is that flavour you can swear by. Flavour is therefore going against that gluten-free, dairy-free suggestion that it may be less tasty. And saying this is great, this has got a great natural taste. It says on here that it has small batches. Well, that says to the buyer, it's artisan, it's a small company, and it's going to have better quality. It's British, that gives provenance. It says it's not travelled, and it also helps the UK. By buying these sausages, you're going to be helping the UK. There is a pig drawn. It's in a little drawing. It shows a happy, kind of healthy, kind of fun pig, again meaning healthy food. And the image is drawn, which is saying artisan, and saying that it's not sort of mass produced. And the colour is red. Now that's really interesting. The colour is red because it stands out. It'll stand out on the shelf. It's going to stand out in packaging, but it's also tonally soft. And you can't have red packaging because it's a warning colour. It'll actually put people off the sausages. It's also quite a sort of very strong, almost sort of false colour. But if you soften it, the product will stand out. It stands out on the shelves, but also it's not offensively red. So you can see from this sort of how the Heck are trying to get their values across. They're, great natural taste, they're artisan, they're trying to come across as being artisan, or certainly a small company, high quality, local provenance. We have very healthy food, and all of the areas within their packaging are trying to sort of say that same thing. So moving on to Richmond, slightly different tact. They're saying, basically we're giving you good sausages, and it's simply just good sausages. The simple packaging, simple design means from a sort of marketing perspective, less additives, less ingredients, just basically these are sausages and this is what you need. You just need good sausages. The Irish gives provenance. It says our own Irish recipe. The fact that they've mentioned recipe says carefully chosen choice of ingredients. Heritage, since they've given since I think it was 1889, means that it's popular, it's been tried and tested, it's loved. People have liked this for years and we're successful. The countryside, you've got that again, it nods to sort of healthy pigs and healthy food. And yellow sky is basically a summer's day positivity, but also the packaging will stand out next to other packaging. So there's the reason for those. Moving on to taste. Taste the difference is, I think it's a Sainsbury's brand. Higher quality because it's taste the difference. It's going to be more expensive, but therefore it's going to be better taste. 97% prime outdoor. We've got basically that's saying happy pigs, better sausages. British, so we've got provenance, not travelled, but it helps the UK. The meaty one, that's interesting. We're saying we're better and we've got more than others. That's what that's saying. And RSPCA element on there is basically to the common purchaser is saying healthy pigs treated well. And then finally, at the other end of the extreme, really showing a brand's values, we've got the Black Farmer. So at the top left, you can see the little icon that says flying the flag. That's saying I'm passionately British, just in case anybody is questioning it, I'm passionately British. And then you have the Black Farmer, so the branding, I am unique. The Black Farmer, not Black Farmers, but the Black Farmer. Inspiring the future, my success will lead to others like me, and this is why I'm doing this. Windrush Heroes drives awareness of Windrush. The sepia tones goes to history and heritage and provenance. The yellow is an inspirational colour, so it's giving sort of positivity. And there's also a thing in here, which is a little note to sort of blend of spices. And that again is saying basically a very careful choice of ingredients. But here, these are 3 different brands exuding 3 different sets of values in 3 different ways, and people will buy them for those values. Same thing, but pork pies. So here we've got Adams and Harlow. I don't know if you know about these guys, but their branding is saying they're using the word extraordinary, which basically says unique, heritage, and special. Hand finished says artisan and not factory. Scrumpy, unique, boozy, special, fun. Provenance, British is provenance but not travelled. Sweet apple is carefully chosen apples that have been particularly sort of chosen for this. The image on there is again gives you a sense of heritage, but also a sense of humour, which is echoed in the extraordinary and the scrumpy and the boozy. And the green gives the feeling of outdoor, also natural, because it's sage though, and sage green, that gives the feeling of heritage. Moving on to the next one, Higgity. Packaging is essentially homemade by your neighbour or your mum. If you have a look at their website, they are actually trying to be that homemade pie made by your neighbour or your mum. That is a very clear value. And that value therefore makes them tasty and artisan and not mass produced. Tesco's Melton Mowbray pork pie, proudly British. You've got the Union Jack in the back. Melton Mowbray says quality. Rich hot water crust pastry is interesting because it says essentially we know what we're doing. This is a good pork pie and we know what we're up to. And the final one I just wanted to show you was just Tesco's Finest. Now this is the same pork pie, slightly different. It's got a little crust of a holly leaf at Christmas. It's the same pork pie, that's the only difference is the crust. And they've got the normal pork pie that they sell all year round, and then the other one which they sell at Christmas. So different branding because it's Christmas, and they've also added some text. So on the bottom packaging, they have succulent, carefully carefully selected cuts of coarse British pork with rich bone, stock jelly wrapped in crisp hot water pastry. And that's the same as above, but here they've added baked by award-winning experts in Leicestershire. That's because Tesco's can make their rebrand their packaging at Christmas because they know that you're going to want a special pork pie rather than a normal Finest pork pie. But the differences between the two are essentially minimal. They have done very little to the second pork pie. So, they've added a little bit of pastry. Think about that. So that's a slight tweak on the brand to give it a special sort of Christmas twist. But just be aware of those things when you're looking at logos, and when you start to look around supermarkets, to try and understand what they're trying to tell you through their packaging. Okay, so when we think about developing your brand, the best place to start is thinking about, once you have your values, your best place is to think about is your vision. where are you going? Now, a vision statement is essentially a statement that's used throughout business, and it's just to give you that, it's a very short statement that tells you where you expect to be realistically, but still a little bit of a challenge in 2 years' time or 2 or 3 years' time. What it does is it provides you with a roadmap for where you, and by doing that, it kind of sets sort of a defined direction for you and also sets you a goal. It doesn't mean it can't change. It can absolutely change. But what it should do is give you something to run your business ideas against as you move forward with your business, to be able to sort of understand, actually, do I want to do this? Is this going to take me towards my vision, or is this going to take me away from my vision? And if it takes me away from my vision, do I want to change my vision? That's fine, but maybe I don't, and maybe I actually just want to pass that opportunity by. So it gives you clear direction. It must consider your company values. It must prevent deviation or distraction from it will help you to prevent deviation or distraction from non-core activities. But it will stop your business and your marketing and your brand from heading in the wrong direction. If you set yourself a target, this is where we want to be and this is what we want to be doing, when you refer your marketing to that, it'll help you to guide whether the marketing is correct or the marketing is wrong. You also need a mission statement. The mission statement is quite a simple thing. It just really describes what you do every day. It's not what you aspire to do, and it's not a strap line. It's almost a lift statement. So if you were to meet me in a lift and you had one floor to tell me what your business does, as we go between floors, that this should be your mission. It's something that you need to write, practice, and learn, so that when you're in a situation where you bump into people and they say, what do? You can reel off that one mission statement. You know it so well. It describes your business so well that you become a walking salesperson for your business by doing that. It's interesting because if people ask me what I do for my business, I say, I'm a business consultant. And if you haven't thought it through, every time you tell somebody what your business is, it will change. And it'll be based on, what you did yesterday, what you're doing now. And what you want is something that wraps everything together, something that's tangible, that you can learn, that your staff can learn, that enables you all to sell the business. With regards to marketing as well, it also helps as a framework, because what you can do when you produce a piece of marketing or you produce something to do with your brand, you can look at your mission and say, does this piece of marketing or this piece of brand, does this actually state what we do? Does it really clearly say what our mission statement is? Because if it doesn't, then you need to think about whether the marketing is right. The marketing is there to essentially advertise what your business does. Okay, you really need a vision, you really need a mission, you really need some values, but more importantly, you really need to understand who your target customer is. When I speak to people quite frequently, they say, everybody's my customer, everybody that likes sausages is my customer. That's interesting, because everyone that likes sausages is not everyone, for starters. And then equally, there'll be people that like sausages that are more likely to buy your sausages than other people's than other sausages. So how can we work out exactly who are your target audience? Because once you understand who they are, the low-hanging fruit, the people that are most likely to want to buy your sausages, they might be location-based. It might be that you can reach them in social media. It may be because you've got certain spices in there and you need to find those people that love those spices. But once you can identify who they are, then you can go for them and really target them, and you'll have a far greater opportunity to sell to them than you will do trying to sell to a much broader base, because your marketing will be much more targeted. So when you're thinking about your target customers, you need to think about, firstly, are they businesses or they consumers? Because you'll speak to businesses very differently than you'll speak to consumers. Who's already buying your products? Are they the people that are going to be buying? Because that's a target audience in itself, and that's they're quite easy to reach. But who are harder to reach? Are there other people there that buy your sausages, not quite as easy to get to know as the people already buying your products? But who else is around, close to you, that you can step out, you can reach out to? What do they do? What is their gender? How old is that? How old are they? What is their income? What is their life stage? What do they believe in? Where do they live? What else do they buy? All of these things will help you target your product better. Now, if we're thinking about, what is their gender? Depending on what you're selling, and I'm being a little bit stereotypical here, it's more likely that women are going to be buying for a household, potentially, than men. So they may want to sort of take that into account. How old are they? do they need a sort of are you selling a product which is very much every day, or is it a special product? If it's a special product, are the people that are going to be buying it more frequently have higher income? All of these things are really, really important when you think about targeting, because it enables you to build a persona. And when you can build a persona, then you can understand where these people will be, at what time of day they'll be available to see you in social media, what places they go to. So if you need flyers, or where you need to put them, where do they shop, which shop should you put your products in. All of these things come from you really understanding your target audience. And that is a key, most important route to success beyond having a great product. The key answer here is that some of these questions are quite difficult to answer. So whenever you can, take every opportunity to get to know your customer. If you can, ask them questions. How did you find out about me? Why have you decided to buy, my sausages? What is it that you like about them? Anything that you can sort of find out about their lifestyle. They may be tourists, I don't know, but if you can sort of try and understand what it is that brought them to you, then you can try and reach more people in the same way. Developing your tone of voice is also really important, because often you say the right things. It's very easy to say the right things, but just to say it in slightly the wrong way. And that's why it says here, it's not what you said, it's how you said it. So have a think, always be authentic. I think be true to your brand values, but have a think about the tone in which things are written, certainly in social media and in marketing. Have a think about the way in which things are positioned and whether it's the right way. If the worst comes to worst, you're not sure how to talk in social, you're not sure how to talk about your customers, if you can talk to them as if they are a friend, a good friend, and you're just trying to help them, then in that way you'll always come across as being friendly. There are different characteristics here, and it really depends on who your target audience is. And clearly, if it's businesses, then what type of business and how do they like to be spoken to? But thinking about this, spending a little bit of time thinking about this will mean that you're consistent in the way that you speak when you're talking from the brand, be that in social, be that in flyers, be that in in sort of face-to-face conversations, because being consistent is really key because it helps drive trust. Okay, so you've done all of those things. We need to develop a brand story. This is because in today's world, people tend to buy brands more than they buy products. And your brand story helps people engage with who you are and helps them understand a little bit about you. When you meet a person for the first time, you're often, you want to ask about their background, you ask about where they are, what they like, those types of things. It's kind of the same thing with a brand, and more now with kind of sustainability in the way that the world is changing. People want to know that you're artisan. People want to know that you're local, which is why those bigger brands are trying to sort of do the same thing. So creating your brand story is something that you can use on a website, you can use in documentation that you take if you're going B2 business to, you're going to sell to businesses. But what it is it's essentially just the story that tells them about your history. If you think about, where you come from, why you're doing this, why you love it, if you want to, how your family's involved in, or your friends are involved in the business. But what it does is it enables your audience to sort of develop that empathy for you, develop almost like a sort of a kinship or a friendship for you. It means that they will begin to care about you. And what you really want is for people to care about your brand and to be involved in your brand. So have a think about developing your story, and it can be a framework. It doesn't have to be, it's not War and Peace. It's just a short few paragraphs about why you're doing what you're doing, what's important to you. And once you've got over all of those things, we need a look. We need a look and a feel, and that is your logo and your packaging. There are two. I would recommend, if you're looking at logos, either speaking to a designer or using a tool like Canva to create a professional looking logo. The problem with logos is that they can do so much for business and they can also do so little for a business. It needs to stand out. It needs to signify your business values. It needs to include your business name. Signifying your values is quite a difficult thing and something that a designer can help with. But as I spoke about earlier, you need to use the right colours. You need to make sure that things aren't too sort of strong in colour. But also, if you're talking about sustainability, you need to make sure that not only is your packaging all sustainable, but equally you might want to include hints to nature in your logo and packaging, for instance. And again, going back to those values before and those packaging that we saw before, you may want to, if you're talking about heritage, some heritage aspects. Or if family is very important, then something that says something about the family table, which is what Higgidy have done with their packaging. Looks a bit like a picnic blanket. So have a think about what your values are, and then how you can visualize them, and then think about how you can get that into a logo. Canva is an online design tool. It is really easy to use, but it does take a bit of time just to get used to it. And Fiverr is essentially a site which enables you to use freelancers to help you develop your logo design for very little money, very cost effective. You should be a Fiverr. So worth having a look at both of those to get a professional logo rather than attempting to do something yourself, unless of course you're an actual designer. Think of your logo packaging as your company's brand ambassador, whose job it is to tell your product's elevator speech. What type of story is your packaging telling? Check out your competitors. How will your logo stand out from them? How is it different to them? Your logo needs to be memorable, but it also needs to be easy to reproduce. So really simple shapes and icons are better. If something is really complicated, it's not only hard to reproduce in different areas, in different formats, but it's also difficult for a consumer to understand and then memorize and then remember and then associate your product with. So bear that in mind as well. Why have you used the font? Why are you using these colors? How do they say your brand values? It needs to be easily recognizable if printed in black and white. Don't forget that, because often it may have to be. It needs to be used in different places. So you may have a website, you might have letterheads, invoices. You may need different versions for small little versions or assets for Facebook or Instagram. So have a think about all of those. And then lastly, do you need a strapline? Do you want a strapline? Don't have to have a strapline, but you might want to have a strapline. So have a think about that as well. So I've just here brought up some bacon products. And the reason for this, I think, is we have a local garage around the corner, and they sell bacon in packaging very similar to the top left here. And then they also have other bacon packaging, other bacon. The bacon that sells, having spoken to them, the bacon sells well is bacon that has a degree of branding on it. And I know consumers that won't buy bacon with very little package design on it. So I think it's important to bear that in mind, unless people are coming direct to you for your product and then they don't care so much. But here there are different versions. You can see that as the bacon gets more set up, in the bacon will clearly get more expensive. And right down the bottom, we've got the very cheap packaging. But I think even here, if you look at the packaging on the bottom left, it's a wasted opportunity, because that could really stand out. It's just a sticker, but you can make that sticker work. So they've gone for the basis. They have their logo at the top and then some black text, which is basically and all the legal requirements. But you can go a stage further than that. You can take that logo, make it a little bit better, and just make it more generally more appealing to the customer, because you want the customer to look at that bacon and think that's not the most basic bacon. I want some bacon that's lovely, and it would take very small amount of work to make that logo better. Okay, so we've talked about your values and your behaviors. We've talked about your mission and your vision, and we've talked about your logo and thinking about your design. We're really here to talk about how you can spend the grant. So have a think about, once you've got that, once you know your logos, you know your mission, have a think about, you can think about your packaging. Your on-brand packaging is a fantastic advertising. It really helps create that emotional connection between your customers and your product. And it also reminds them of why they've purchased from you. That's the other thing about unbranded bacon in a fridge. Every time you open the fridge, you just see bacon. If you open the fridge and you see this Hubbard and Smith, that's going to make people remember that they bought that product that they're quite excited about. And that's the emotional connection that you want. You want people to open the fridge and go, oh, I'm really excited about that. Riverford Organic Farmers, that's their meat box. That is so that it arrives and you're excited, and you can sort of unpack it, but equally when it's being moved around, it's great advertising. But that box will get reused as well. So it will excite, because of its values and because of the way it looks, it'll excite its customers when it arrives. 61% say that branded packaging makes them feel more excited about receiving their products. Something to really bear in mind. and more than 50% state that branded packaging makes them more likely to recommend a brand to their friends. Now, you might say that's more than 50%, but that's a lot of, you don't want to be missing out on the more than 50%. You could create a brochure to showcase both your products and your business. Brochures are fantastic, newsletters, all of those things. They just help sort of to create and engage your customer. Even more, they open your box and then there's something tangible that they can look at. And also it helps you to sort of to cross-sell. So if you're selling multiple products, if you deliver one product, you can cross-sell other products via a brochure. You can develop headed paper, headed invoices, business cards, all of these things can be used alongside the brochure. You can use good quality paper, make it glossy if that goes with your brand values, if it's high quality. If it's very sustainable, then you can make it on recycled paper and make it very organic. If you create a professional image for your business, the halo effect is your business is professional, as long as you maintain that throughout the rest of your customer service. But yeah, really great for driving awareness of your business and also showcasing professional images and displaying your product range. It doesn't have to be seasonal, so nowhere else Christmas. Okay, so develop a flyer that explains your story and tells your full range of products. A redacted or short version of your flyer, of your brochure, can be a flyer that can be posted in local shops, through doors, in community spaces, in tourist locations, in petrol stations, on notice boards, given to your business customers. Basically, you can put it wherever your target audience goes to. They can include discounts if you want, or promotions. Business cards can also be left in similar places if you need a smaller sort of flyer, and they can be attached in the packaging. Again, these are great for driving awareness of your business. I mean, just putting them through doors, can be a fantastic driver, and it can also drive awareness of any discounts, etc. Professional photography. Do you need professional photography? Professional photography simply looks more professional, and it will make your business seem more professional, and hence it'll make your business seem more successful to your customers. 94% of people admit leaving a website due to poor aesthetic design. So making sure your website is beautiful is one thing, but also the images are very, very important too. Images can also be repeated in multiple places. So if you do decide to spend the grant on images, don't be concerned that I'm only using them, they're going on a flyer. They can be used on a flyer, on a brochure, in social media, repeatedly in social media, in multiple places. So they have multiple uses, pictures, but they will increase the amount of time that people spend looking at your marketing. Design banners. You could have banners. Signage or banners will help create attention to a store if you're in a market or a shop window, or simply just to sort of display on the edge of the property to indicate where you're based. Really great for driving awareness and to promote special messages, e.g. award-winning. If you're going to put signage to indicate where you are, a banner to indicate where you are close to your property, make sure that you think about driving distances, make sure it's really clear. Hill House Farm above here, where he's got the banner at the bottom, is probably no good for signage, if anything, because the fonts are too small. So have a think about those things. If you're using it for signage, you'll need to sort of have a slightly different, because each use case will require slightly different design. You could design banners for use at trade fairs, markets. Oh, sorry, the heading hasn't changed. You can create digital graphics for your social media, your website, or your digital social media advertising. Digital graphics, fantastic again. Will make everything that you do look incredibly professional, and will help your business stand out. I think that's what we're trying to do, is make your business seem professional, so you seem professional, and it helps you, and everything will help you stand out. You could brand your staff clothing. Branded clothing makes you easily identifiable, looks professional again. It reminds your customers of your company and alerts non-customers of your business should they pass. Make sure your branding is clear and easy to read at a distance. And this is really important. Quite often with branded clothing, people brand the front just above the chest on the left-hand side, and then just leave the clothing. If you're going to brand it, make use of it. You can become a walking billboard, something big on the back, that says exactly who you are, and potentially with a phone number or a website or Facebook handle or social media handles, so that people know who you are, they know what you do, and they know how to contact you. And you never know, you could be wearing that hoodie in a garage, filling your car with petrol, and someone may spot your back, and you may get another customer that way. They're also great for, deliveries, meetings, farm shop, etc. And as I said, great to wear when out about. Brand your vehicles. Have a think about branding your vehicles. They're basically large movable posters. Important when you brand your vehicles is to use your vehicles at times when you're not working. Branded vehicles are fantastic, but people tend to only use them for deliveries or, when they're going about their work business. But if you're happy to do it and it's not a romantic evening, take them to that restaurant, take them to that pub, take them to that, places that you may be taking, your kids or wherever, because it's a big walking advertisement, so a big driving advertisement for your business. And there may be many people that are in those locations, that would be interested in buying your products. So, what else could you do? There is so much else you could do. £750 does actually go quite a long way when it comes to marketing. But when designing what you need, think of these marketing assets as being your brand ambassadors, whose job it is to tell your product's lift speech. What story is each individual marketing asset telling? Is it showcasing your story? Does it show your brand personality? Does it display your values? Add your social media handles. If you have one, add your website. And on packaging, add requests for social media testimonials by simply saying, if you love me, if you enjoy your sausages, please talk about us in social media. Please mention us in social. You can also say, if you love us, please follow us in social media. But by asking people within your packaging, you'll find that people, if they love your brand and they believe in your values, they will try and find out more about you, and they can do that they'll do that by following if you ask them to. But the most important thing across all of this is to be brand consistent. When you know that you've got your values, you know what your mission is, you know what you're doing, you know where you want to get to, be authentic, tell the same story, use the same logo, use the same colors, and customers will begin to understand you, begin to recognize you, begin to trust you, and then to begin to create a relationship with you. And that's it. I hope that's helpful. I think we've now got a question and answer session. Am I right?
Lovely. Thank you very much, Claire, for that very interesting and informative session. I'll just share my screen just to go through the slides that I have on marketing, just a few more information on it, and then we'll go on to discussion if that's okay. Can you see that now, Claire?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll just go briefly over this before before we move on. Is that still okay now?
Yeah, that's great. Yep.
So so we have the £750 as Claire just mentioned, and as you can see here, there's a list of things that you can have. Again, like Claire mentioned, it will go a long way for marketing. As we have learned, marketing is so important. So yeah, you can have anything from banners to digital graphics and some work on your website. So yeah, give us a call and we're happy to discuss. Dyrwch alwad I ni a 'dan ni'n hapus I weld beth sydd ar gael I chi a'ch busnes. As you can see here, Kenneth and Naomi from Traed Moch have had their logo on boxes. And yeah, they put sell these as meat boxes, and yeah, they are going very well and they're so handy. So if you don't have a logo, we can refer you to Coine to have a logo. So no worries about that. We can you can come to us for the £750 after having logo with Coine. Also the same with business plan. We have a template, but if you would like a more bespoke one for your business, we can refer you for someone to have a business plan too. Of course, this is only for pork, therefore you can't use it for any other meat you sell for the business. You can use it for anything that you sell with pork. And this is available for producers and butchers too, not only for producers that sell pork. So yeah, if you're butchers or retailers, you're welcome to use this grant too. The printing cost is included, therefore Penny and Naomi here have been able to pay for the boxes and the logos on it being printed. So this is part of the £750, up to £750 if it covers everything. And you will be working with one of our approved designers from our framework. So yeah, contact us for any form of information. Cysylltwch gyda ni am unrhyw wybodaeth, a mi fyddan ni weld beth sydd ar gael I chi. Okay, so that's all from me there. And then we'll have you're welcome to put your cameras off and your mics and have a chat and ask Claire any questions. We have had a question come through on chat. Sorry, I'll just to answer Hayley's question here. Hayley has asked, if I have a grant to produce a brand, for example, a logo through Menter Business, can I access the grant through Menter and Moch Cymru to develop packaging? Yes, of course you can. If you have you can have a logo through Cowine and then come to us for develop the packaging and your logo on any materials for marketing. Give us a call, Hayley, and we can discuss further what's available for you. Any more questions or discussions?
Yes, please. Can I ask one?
Yeah, of course.
So you're saying that with the Menter and Moch grant, it has to be purely pigs. But what if your logo and your business is wider than pigs?
Good
So
question.
if I was to get a logo, it would have pig, sheep and turkeys, or rare breed is the thing. So if I were to get the logo and then came to Menter and Moch to get the packaging, my logo would incorporate more than just a pig. And my business is more than just a pig. So how does that work?
Mel, I assume this would be, yeah, of course we can give the money towards the pork, but I'm not sure if. Oh,
But
Mel.
it would all be, the package would be generic, wouldn't it? It would be.
Yeah, I think Mel.
Yeah, so because Menter and Moch Cymru, we're RDB funded through Welsh Government to support and develop the pig sector. So we have to be quite careful that we're only using that funding within our remit of promoting pork from Wales. If your logo does feature other species, that's absolutely fine. That's part of your logo, but the funding then can only be used for materials and packaging that you would use for your pork side of the business.
Okay.
So if you're looking at packaging, for example, and you wanted a sleeve for your sausages or something, or you wanted boxes for your pork products, that's absolutely fine. You can still take advantage of the funding. It's just that we have to be quite careful because our funding is only meant to be used to promote and to support pork businesses. That's why we have to be a bit careful, but it's case by case, and we'll try and be as flexible as we possibly can within the boundaries that are set by our funders, really. But more, get in touch with us and we can have a one-to-one on, find out a bit more about what you're looking for, what you think you need for your business, and we can make sure that it fits you and it also then is eligible through this funding. That's no problem.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Claire, for the presentation.
Yeah,
it was very
good.
very helpful.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
That's right.
Okay, any more questions or discussion or sharing ideas? Feel free to share any questions. One question, Claire. What's the best way to reach more customers?
Understand them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the key to marketing really, when you sort of strip everything down, is really understanding who your target customer is. If you know who they are, you know what they like, what the product, what the packaging should look like, what values are important to them, then you can align your values with theirs. Social media is a really, if we're talking about specific mediums, social media can be brilliant because it enables for awareness, I would say, because it enables you to, through advertising, which is very cheap, you can target people within particular areas. You can target people that like particular things. So for instance, meat eaters in a certain location, or you can you can remove people that are vegan and that sort of thing. So social media, but I think it all comes down to understanding who your target is and then putting your brand and your logo in the place where they can see it. But then you come on to making sure that it's a quality logo, making sure it's a quality brand, you know what I mean? So it's all interlinked, but target customers are probably key.
Okay, great. Yeah, of course. Yeah, don't know your customers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any more questions? Or sharing some ideas or some advice from Claire is here for you.
If you have any questions afterwards, with no qualms or nothing, free of charge, you want any sort of specific advice, please don't hesitate to drop me an email or give me a quick call. My numbers are on the presentation that you will receive. And if not, I wish you all the very best with it. There's some lovely logos out there and it's huge.
There's another question come in. Sorry, Claire.
That's all right.
There's another question come in. So great session and examples. If you were a small scale producer with a small or non-existent marketing budget, how would you use the funding? Okay, so marketing doesn't necessarily require budget, but it does require people or time. If you can use it, again, it's understanding who your customers are. If they're local, it could be about flyers. If they're B2B, it could be about a brochure. It's about who do you want to buy more of your product. But most of these things, the flyers will be free to be developed for you. But then you're still going to have to go and sort of put them in places where people will find them. Brochures can be developed for you, but then you still need to take the time to be able to you're going to have those meetings with clients. So it's very kind of specific to your business, and it really depends about what your vision is and where you want to get to and how busy you want to be and who your customer is. But don't be worried about the fact that you haven't got a big budget, because with the social media and this grant, you can do a lot. It's just, it will take your time. The marketing, the less money you spend, the more time you end up putting in yourself, I think is the key. Okay, great.
More specific. If you want to give me a call and let me know a little bit more about your business, I can be much more specific.
Another question, Claire. If you have positive feedback from customers about your produce, how would you utilise that info for your benefit?
Everywhere. Get as many testimonials as you can at any stage, but you can use it on your website. You need their permission if you're going to use it, with their name, and you need to think about who that person is and whether it means anything to the customer. And it's fine if it doesn't. It could just be a really satisfied customer, but you can't use their name without asking them. But do think about that. But you can use it on the website. You can use it repeatedly in social media. I just a post which says, the most fantastic sausages we've ever eaten, is great. If you can get people to just give you as many reviews as possible, you can use them, on flyers, on banners. You can have it underneath your logo on the back of your branded clothing. That currently in people really, because products are so much more available because of the internet, people quite often will very, very much rely on reviews. So the more reviews you can get, the better. Use Google My Business as well if you can, and you can push people towards that as well. Set up your own Google My Business page, make sure it's verified so it works. But then if you can get lots of 5 stars in there, when people Google you, they'll see all these kind of 5 stars. But other people saying how great you are is better for most than you saying how great you are. So just collect them and reuse them. An example is I'm working with somebody at the moment I've been working with someone historically who's Christmas puddings. And last year I just got as many testimonials as possible, and this year out come the testimonials in social media as we run up to Christmas, saying what wonderful Christmas puddings these are, because people will look at that and think all these people have said this is fantastic, and that creates a really nice buzz around the organisation, helps people make up their minds as whether they want to buy or not. So yeah, use it everywhere.
Yeah, definitely. Someone I do it myself. If you see a good review that you want to try it.
Yeah.
Another question: is the funding just for design? If I went for printed clothing, would it pay towards the clothing that's getting printed too? Or if I wanted to stall marquee for events, could that be purchased and branded? Yes, of course. So the money is towards anything, as Penny the Naomi, they had the boxes and the logo on it. I thought within the £750, you're welcome to have any items bought within this and having it branded. So with clothing, if you'd like a hoodie or an apron or what have you for anything, these would be bought and then branded for you through our a framework that we have of designers, and then you're able to choose from that list who you would like to work with. So yeah, that's no problem. Any more questions? You're welcome to post them or just ask them out for Claire, and she'll be happy to answer. And again, we'll share the presentation, won't we, Claire? So I'll send that over to everybody tomorrow, and the recording of the webinar will be on our resource hub along with all our other recordings over the last 18 months or so. So feel free to log on here and you can see all our recent webinars as we record all of them. Any ideas that some of what you have, what I'm trying to say is, any ideas what you'd like to use the grant on? Any ideas? You can have some discussion, or feel free to give us a call and we can discuss and start the process with you.
If you are thinking about clothing, try, if you can, kind of get there's like varying degrees of quality.
Yeah.
If you can get better quality, it'll last longer, and it also just makes your brand look better. Some of the hoodies you can get might be, if you decide you want to go for a hoodie or a jumper or a sort of t-shirt, they don't last very long. They're really cheap and you think, great, you can get loads of them, but they don't last very long. It's almost better to spend £50 on a branded hoodie, £50 or £60, and then you know it lasts for years. Yeah, and it's going to look good when you're wearing it, rather than begin to look a bit ropey over time.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, good advice there, Claire. So we'll you're welcome to share any more questions, but if not, we'll I think we'll come to an end there, Claire. If you have anything else to share.
No, not at all. I mean, as I said, if you've got any specific questions like no budget, what can I do, then please don't hesitate to give me a call, and I'll put in a 30 minutes so we can just have a chat and I can talk around your business. There are lots of things that you can do with no money, as I said, but I just need to understand a bit more about the business. So yeah, don't hesitate to do that. And otherwise, I hope it's helpful. Please spend the grant.
Great, most definitely. Thank you very much, Claire. Oh, there's another question come in. Oh, thank you very much, Claire. Very good and useful presentation.
Thank you.
And then question 2, does my business have to be a certain size to take advantage of the funding? No, we do have a eligibility criteria, and we're sharing this. It's the first process that we share with you, but no, your business does not have to be any certain size. So contact us and we, case by case, and we can discuss and go from the T's and C's to the next step. Therefore, thank you very much, Claire, for joining us tonight.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the audience for joining us once again.
Thank you.
I'll share the presentation with you tomorrow, and the recording will be up on our resource very soon. I will put the evaluation form in the chat now. If you'd be happy to fill this in, we'd be very grateful for future events. feel free to suggest any future events we can hold. So I'll put that in the chat. I'll also send it over email too. So yeah, you can fill it in your own time when convenient with you. Therefore, thank you very much, everybody. Hope to see you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much, Claire.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Take care, everybody. Bye. Bye.